know, with the champagnes and the cognac and wheel them out and sell them to get money for crack and keep some for myself to drink, you know. So I'm big shot again, I'm drinking my champagne, stolen champagne and cognac, you know, but there was no shame in it. I need the stuff. I remember one time I went into a Waitrose and I didn't have anything. I just thought, well, I'll just take 2 of these big bottles of whiskey and walked out the shop and the security guy said, hey, and then I just ran off and then I ran across the high road with cars coming in either direction, you know, and one of the bottles dropped on the other side of the pavement, and I was so really upset about that, you know. You know, I felt the urge like to go and try to, you know, scoop it up and drink it, you know. I said, man, I must be crazy, you know, and I kept running, you know, because the security's coming. And yes, and the fact also is that, you know, I ended up, I said I'd never burgle. You know, I never go to someone's house and take their things because that's asking to be murdered, or to be killed, and, you know, trespassing and taking their things on top of it. And because I'd experienced 2 burglaries myself, which, you know, 2 major big burglaries. To me, it wasn't no petty stuff. And my losses were great. And I said I couldn't do that to anybody because I wanted to kill those people who did that to me. You know, so therefore, why should I put myself in that situation? But being a slave to crack and alcohol and cocaine, windows open, run out of money, okay, let's just slip into this window here and see what we can pick up, you know, look, it's open, it's welcoming me, you know, you justify this thing, come in, you know, we got money in here for you, you know. And I remember on one particular occasion, I went in this place and, you know, instead of looking for the money, I remember I went in somehow I went to the fridge. I was looking for money, but somehow I went to the fridge and saw a bottle of wine in there. And, you know, I want to start drink the wine instead of looking around for the money. You know.
This is what I came for.
And, you know, I really and truly just helping myself to whatever valuables I could and put in my pocket or whatever, or in the bag or whatever, and so on and so forth, and left. And, yes, I thought, my gosh, I've crossed the line there. You know, I didn't like that. I didn't feel good about it. But I felt good that I got away and I got a drink out of it and a little bit of money to go and buy some more crack. You know? Yeah. It was the same thing on other days in desperation. While I was in those days there in my last 4 years of addiction, active addiction, I, you know, no money. I see him or him there, I say, hey, come here. You know, and I just start rubbing them. I just take the money, you know, and all that kind of thing, you know. And I thought, my gosh, you know, this is bad, you know. And the thing is, after you've committed these crimes and against humanity and against, you know, the law and all the rest of it, you know, the thing is now to get away, you know what I mean? Because I've got to get to that crack pipe and I mustn't get caught. And I remember, in fact, when I ended up homeless, and a social worker who visited me during the 17 offenses I accumulated for shoplifting in 4 years, said to me, she said, you're heading for homelessness.
Wow.
And I felt that the truth of that resonated in my heart.
Of course.
You know, and I sat in the prison, I said, I'm not going to argue with that. And that's exactly what happened a year or two later down the line.
Wow.
You know, I was ejected from that flat in Putney.
So how did that happen? Do you remember the day that happened?
I don't remember the day, but I remember it was sort of early summer or something like that.
Remember coming home and your stuff outside, or what was it like?
No, what happened was that, because when you're in prison, you'd get a social worker, get them on your case, get the papers you need to apply for your housing benefits so it continues while you're in prison and so on and so forth. For some reason or the other, these papers weren't delivered.
So you were in prison when you was in Putney?
Yes, yes, because I was arrested 17 times for shoplifting while I lived in there for the last 4 years.
How long did you go for, and where did they put you?
Well, I did a lot of my prison sentences for shoplifting was done in Wormwood Scrubs in Wandsworth prison, but also I did do 1 or 2 stints in Wormwood Scrubs as well.
Yeah. Okay. So how long did they have you in there for that time? How long?
Well, those prison sentences were between 3 months to 7 months.
Yeah, I thought so.
For shoplifting.
Yeah, so you went for like 3 to 7 months?
Yeah, 3 to 7 months. And the way I worked it out during those 4 years, actually, doing all those, the amount of 3 months and up to 7 months sentences that I did, out of 4 years, I think I probably only had about 3 or 4 months actually on the street.
Wow.
So it was so bad, got so bad. There was one time, the day I was released, I was back in Wandsworth prison the next day. You know what I mean? And put in the same cell that I'd been discharged from and given the same job that I'd been, that I thought, God, bye-bye job, bye-bye prison. I won't be seeing you again.
What did you do? What did you do, Rob, again?
Yeah, so I think that was also...
First day you got out?
First day I got out. I think I ended up in doing some shoplifting because the prison grant doesn't go very far, about £50, that can't last, you need hundreds of pounds a day at least, what I mean, and that it just wasn't enough, so I thought I'd go and add some more money to my pocket. And
when you was going inside for the 2-3 months, was you becoming clean?
Well, that's another thing. Yes, I stopped smoking crack during those periods, but not always. Actually, there were occasions where I made a crack pipe, and a brother, I know this brother's brought some crack in. He's got half ounce, an ounce, all that, and I'd buy some from him with Virginia tobacco, because that's like a currency there. And I remember one time when I was a cleaner in the basement there in Wandsworth prison, and I pulled the door to, the cell door, shut it but not locked it, and got the pipe out and made out with silver foil and a plastic bottle and all that, put some ash on top of it, and then put the crack on top of the ash, and went to, light up, and to stop, and I started pulling the thing, and the next thing you know, I could hear footsteps coming, and I just felt like they were coming to my cell because no one's really out except the cleaners. You understand? So, and so therefore, in a matter of less than 2 seconds, I managed to put the crack bottle down and all that sort of thing, and hide it off, somewhere where it's not seen, it's not visible. And the prison officer, she was a lady, opened the door, and I still had all the smoke in my mouth. She said, I can't exhale, and she said, you're to move up to the 3rd landing later on today. And I'm thinking, man, just go away, please, quick. When she turned and left, then I exhaled and I thought, man, and I was frustrated and angry because the buzz escaped me, I didn't get the hit, and that one was a miss, you know what I'm saying? And so there were the occasional times I smoked crack in prison and so on, Yeah.
So now you've done these 2-3 months within 4 years, basically.
Yes, but in a 3-month sentence you used to do half, but like 6 months you do 3 months. 7 months, 3.5 months.
And then you're at the end of this point now. So you come out.
Yeah, so I lost my flat because papers that were because they'd stopped paying for the rent, the housing benefit agency, and I appealed against that. That's right, and I said, well, I'm going to court about it because I was in prison and it's not my fault that the papers weren't delivered because I filled all the papers in and somehow you didn't get them. Well, I did my part to make sure that everything is paid for until I can get out and so on. And and so they set a date for the court hearing, but I'm still in prison. So I says, can you cancel it please until I come out? But no, they didn't cancel it. They just carried on and shut me out of my flat while I was still in prison. So suddenly I've got no home to come out to.
Wow.
And I wouldn't even call it a home. I just don't have a roof. To come to go to. And
So you came out and then that's it.
I came out and basically I remember not having keys to anywhere to live, and in fact now the story is getting really clear. Yes, when I was released from prison, that's right, the flat, I still had keys to the flat so I could still get in there, right? But I had time, say, to maybe move my stuff out the flat or something like that. And also I had the time now to go and visit a lawyer to try and stop that process from happening. However, my crack smoking and my drinking of alcohol made me so incompetent, so weak, that I just couldn't get it together. I'd make the appointment, I don't turn up. The thing with me was that when I'm smoking crack and drinking alcohol, I'd be going to see my children, and because I had a drink and had a smoke of crack, suddenly I don't appear. And then probably I was like, my God, I'm supposed to go see my children, and feel guilt and shame about it. And so I drink and smoke more crack on the guilt to try to anesthetize myself from the guilt and shame and regret of that. And so that's what happened with me, with the flat there. And one day I knew, because I had to be out of there by a certain time, and I'd failed to do anything, the right thing, in order to hold on to the flat. And so when that day came, the council officials came around and said I had to leave, and basically I walked out of that flat with nothing more than a bag full of songs that I'd written and the book that I'd started to write. And I left that flat with like 70 suits or more, all expensive suits, and about 70 pairs of shoes or more, and about 30 overcoats and some fine furniture, know, and some fine pieces of art on the wall, you know, oil painting, and, you know, and batik and all this other, all really, you know, lovely stuff, and yeah. And I just left them all behind.
That's it.
You know, I didn't have to, you know, but I didn't really, I didn't care. All I wanted to do was smoke crack and drink alcohol.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be part of this world anymore, to be honest with you. You know, I just got to the point where I was going through, you know, depression. I've been going through it for years. You know, depression was a big part of this thing here. You know, and the funny thing is that as the Dr. North said to me, you know, they called me Vander. They said, Vander, do you realize that when you drink alcohol, it compounds that depression. It reinforces depression. It doesn't take away your depression because alcohol is a depressant. You know. But that didn't make no difference. Once you're addicted to something, you know, say it can kill you, but you're still taking it on a daily basis. And yeah, so that's how things were. That so when I actually left the flat, I said, well, at least I'm preserving my songs and my book that I started and so on and so forth.
Was you homeless at the time?
Yes, I didn't have nowhere to go. But I couldn't say I've gone back to grandma, say for example, something like that. Oh, I suppose there's other, you know, I really didn't want to be around any friends anymore, anything like that with my habit and so on and so forth. I didn't want to, you know, I became ostracized from my family basically, you know, as well, and so on and so forth because of my habit and so on. And so really and truly they said to me, go to the homeless persons unit, report there, and they'll sort you out for somewhere to stay, you know, before nightfall. I didn't take any notice of that. My first reaction to that, of being evicted, was to go to the off-license shop, you know, bought some alcohol and so on and so forth, get some crack, you know, and then suddenly, coming up to around about midnight, I realized that I haven't got no home to go. And what am I going to do? I didn't go to the homeless persons unit. So what am I going to do? Lay on the bench here? It's kind of summertime at the time. And I thought, nah, I'm not doing that. So I went into the crack house. And that is where I stayed until the proprietor said to me, if I haven't got a home to go to, and I said to him, listen, I'm head of security around here, and anybody who misbehaves himself, I'll deal with them. I'll sort it out. You know what I mean? And that shut him up, and so I just lived in the crack house, and I ended up stealing clothes. Now, you know what I mean? You know, for a change of clothes, I go and steal some. You know, things like that. And I go out to steal to maintain my habit as well. You know, committed some fraud, you know, as well. Things like that. Yeah, and the occasional robbery and the occasional burglary, if it came to that. You know, whatever, by any means necessary. Well, not by any means necessary, because there's certain places I still wouldn't go. You know what I mean? Sexually and all that sort of thing. You know what I mean? You know, like some other men found it easy to trade their bodies to get money, you know, for it by committing sexual acts with other men or whatever. You know, or maybe with a woman for that matter of fact, you know, but I don't see it being with a woman crossing the line, you know what I'm saying, you know, so I'm talking about when you go against your own principles clothes and so on, basically. But still, just sleeping with a woman just to get money to buy something is still very degrading.
It is.
You know, it is completely degrading. So there's no excuse for that either. Yeah. So I basically what happened is that one day I was returning to the crack house, which was up on like the 17th floor or something like that, in the tower block in the Arndale Center, and two policemen were standing at the foot of the block, the entrance there, and I had these two black bin bags full of stolen goods, you know, and I thought, shit, you know, but I thought, well, you know, one mind said to turn away. I says, well, that's going to make you look suspicious. You're coming up and suddenly you turn around, you know. So I thought, well, you know, anybody can have black bean bags, and it doesn't mean to say they've done anything. So I just, you know, just kept on walking and walked up towards them to, you know, go through the entrance, and but they decided that they wanted to have a look at what was in the black bin bags. Found all these clothes that I'd stolen and other things that I'd stolen. And yeah, I said, well, yeah, these things belong to me, and so on and so forth. But anyway, on the labels and things in the shops and, you know, or whatever it was, you could see all these brand new stuff. All of them don't really fit me and things like that. And what are you doing? All these black bin bags and all that sort of thing. And of course, they managed to trace some shops. And so I was charged for shoplifting, you know, and I thought, oh God, you know, and I was craving for the crack pipe, you know, and I thought, my gosh, man, look at this now. You know, it was so painful not to be able to get into that crack house and get on that crack pipe. But and I remember saying, God, why you do this to me? Why have you done this to me? Why can't you just, you know, let me get away with it? In fact, I used to ask God to help me to get away with stealing, you know? You know, and that's how crazy I got. And yes, and when I got to the police station, they said, it's obvious that you've got a habit and so on and so forth, and we can help you if you admit you've got a habit. Okay. You know, we can have a talk with the magistrate, so they'll go easy on you and even send you to a rehab center with it and so on and so forth. But I wouldn't agree to all that. I've got no problem, you know, I'm still puffing up my chest in denial, dishonesty, and fact of the matter is that they used to give me. Then I'd say, they realized that I was stank of alcohol, and of course they suspected I was taking crack, although they didn't find a crack pipe to prove it or anything like that. But and of course they were standing at the bottom of not the bottom of the entrance of the block because of that crack house up there, which was a place where there was a stream of stolen goods going in there, and so on and so forth. So it was a fine way to catch people, and so on. And so basically, my denial said no, but they gave me some Valium to help me to kind of have a smooth descent, and it wasn't until I ended up in Wandsworth prison again on that occasion, and I remember I was in that cell there on Dewin, I think it was, and I just got down on my knees because I said, you know, I don't have no home to go to, I don't have no family to go to, I have no friends to go to. So I just got down on my knees. I said, the only one I can go to is God, our Creator. So I got down on my knees and I said, God, forgive me, have mercy on me. I'm an addict. I haven't admitted it to the magistrates or to the police or anybody. I didn't even admit it to myself, but I'm an addict. I've got a drink and drug problem. Alcohol, crack and cocaine problem. Help me, please. Please help me. And as I arose from the floor in that prison cell, before I could sit on the single bed in that cell, which was just me alone in that cell. I didn't like sharing cells with other people. The prison flap of the door opened up, of the prison door, and the prison officer said, would you like to go to an AA meeting? I said, what's that? Yeah, you mean cars, auto, AA, Automobile Association meetings? She says, no, it's to do with alcohol problems. I said, yes, please put me down. I said, now thank God you answered my prayers already. Quick response, because I'd been in and out of that prison so many times, at least 10, 11, 12 times during those 17 convictions for shoplifting. It was the first time I realized that there was an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting in there and a Narcotics Anonymous meeting in there. And I attended that meeting that very evening, and I was impressed and touched. I was moved and inspired by the honesty I heard there. People talking about when they drink too much of this and that, they end up shitting in the bed and pissing in the bed and waking up in their own shit and piss and stuff like that. And other embarrassing things that you normally wouldn't tell people who are coming out, to do with relationships, to do with their thinking pattern and, all that kind of madness. And I was really impressed with the honesty, and I got to understand, well, if you want to recover, this is what you got to do. You got to get honest, brutally honest. Don't hold anything back. Get all that rubbish out. Travel light, because we're drinking and drugging and all that stuff. And so it also inspired me to ask for help, because I was reluctant to ask. I don't ask for help. People ask me for help, and I help them. But me, I don't need help from nobody, and yes, I learned to ask for help, which was the first port of call, was to our Creator God. And then I wrote a letter after that to the social services in Wandsworth, asking for help for a referral to a rehab. And I was successful. They said yes, they'll finance me. And I was given the choice of rehabs. I could either go to Kairos, which is in South London somewhere, and St. Luke's, which was also in South London by Kennington. I think Kairos was more over Peckham side or a bit further over that way there. Yeah, so I chose to go to St. Luke's, walking around the prison yard. I told other inmates about it, and I heard one of them say, that place is like a prison. You'll be leaving this prison and going to another prison. And I said, I'm going there to get the keys to my freedom, brother. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I wasn't worried about the discipline that had to go with it, and all that. I was prepared to do that sort of thing. I had a moment of clarity, and which included honesty. Yeah. And I knew I needed to change. I knew I needed to ask for help. And I kept going to these AA meetings and confessed that when I leave this prison on discharge, I don't trust myself, because I think I'm going to turn right and head towards that off license and buy a celebratory drink, with the money, of course, which was normally like a bottle of champagne, and I said after that, all bets are off. I don't think I'll be able, I don't think I'll be going to rehab, although St. Luke's has accepted me. And so the secretary at the AA meeting, who gave up his time, Kelly is his name, gave up his time with his family and so on, took time out even with work and all that to come and open up these meetings in the prison. And he said, well, he'll come and meet me on that day. Thank you very much. As it worked out later on, that day was brought forward because it happened to be on a weekend or something. And he couldn't make it for that day. Anyway, I spoke to a prison drug and alcohol worker, and a brother there called Michael said yes, he'll meet me at reception on my discharge and accompany me to rehab, which he did, and that made the biggest difference in my life. Because instead of turning towards that off license, I kept going straight, to rehab, and he brought me right out. I got inside the rehab before he left. You know what I mean? At the reception, got my name down and so on, preliminary introductions and stuff like that, and he left. And God bless him, and I thank him so much because really and truly, he helped me to change my life, for the better in a big way. Had it not been for that moment there, I don't think I would have been here today with his help. That's how powerful his help was. And he just gave me some of his time. He didn't give me any money. If he gave me money, I'd have ended up in a crack house.
Exactly.
But he gave me his time to accompany me from A to B. And that took, an hour of his time. But that was invaluable. Yes, and so basically when I got into rehab there now and I was shown to my little room, very spartanly furnished, a little single bed, a little wardrobe about 5 foot tall, wardrobes are normally taller than you, but anyway, you know what I mean, and then Muriel, the counselor, came in, said, what are those 2 black bin bags there? What's in them? So I started emptying out those black bin bags and took out, I don't know, about a dozen or so prison jeans, brand new jeans, and lots of prison shirts, brand new shirts, with the prison logo on them, HMP, blah, blah, blah. And prison t-shirts, even prison boots, and all that. And because I was working on the cleaners and I had access to, to these things and so on and so forth. And I said to her, well, she said, these are prison clothes. I said, yes, sir. She says, what are you doing with so many? I says, well, I'm going to sell them. She says, you mean did the prison allow you to take these things with you? I said, no. I said, I took them, I took them because, my job and so on I'm working on, I had access to these things, so I thought I'd take some to sell, because I haven't got any money. She said, that's stealing, you know what I mean? And she said, that's no way to start your rehab and with dishonesty. We start with honesty, and you have to take these back to the prison. And I looked at her, I said, you're joking, you know what I mean? Take them back to the prison, She said, I'm not joking. This is how serious recovery is. You really want to recover? You got to go to any lengths to recover, just like you went to any lengths to use. You know what I mean? I'd walk from here to Scotland to get that crack if I had to. You know what I'm saying? I mugged people on the streets to get it. I burgled people's houses to get it. So now, to recover, to take this back to the prison, it shouldn't be so hard. And Yeah, so that's what happened. Called a minicab. I don't know how many days after.
Yeah.
I was in rehab and brought them back to the prison reception area sort of thing. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I felt good about it. I felt lighter. I felt I gained back some of my self-respect.
Definitely.
I hadn't lowered myself any further to be a laughing stock. In fact, I was beginning to get stronger. And I thought she was going to be my counselor, but in fact I ended up having a male counselor. Yes, and rehab, they said to me when I first met my male counselor, he said to me, look, Vander, he said, I know there's a wall, a tall white wall around this building, but you don't have to sneak out of your window and climb over that at night. If you want to leave, you can leave at any time through the normal channels. And furthermore, I'm not your dad. You don't have to listen to what I'm saying and this and that and this and that. Thank you very much. And I discovered, yes, I was given a chore to do every morning. We have to have separate jobs, go around there, probably cleaning the toilets or the bathrooms, or hoovering around the place and stuff like that. And so, I stuck to my discipline, did my job and so on, and I adopted the attitude that these counselors here are family. They're my aunts and uncles. They're my brothers and sisters. And they're not against me. And I must listen to them. I've learned the value of humility from going to those AA meetings. Ones of prison. And being honest to myself. And so, whilst there in rehab, some people were finding it really hard, and tough and all that. But man, I've been brought to homelessness, living in a crack house. I remember once upon a time while I was in that crack house, I remember a pair of boots I had developed holes in the soles of my and it was winter and there was snow on the ground. I remember I put cardboard inside those boots, to shield my feet from the snow and the wet, when the things start, so my socks wouldn't get wet. And I remember the snow and all that soaking through all that, and my socks getting wet. And I thought, my God, I'm a man who had 70 odd pairs of shoes, and now. You know what I mean? I'm going to go if I find some shoes to steal, steal a pair of shoes and all that sort of thing. And brother, but there in rehab, they said you have to go to 3 AA meetings, 3 meetings a week, but AA and NA. In my case, it suggested I attend both because I was not only an alcoholic but also a drug addict as well. And so actually I went every day. I went every day to an AA or an NA meeting, 7 days a week. I loved them, I enjoyed them. I appreciated the love I received from them. People would come up and give me a little $5 or something like that, and they know I'm still in rehab, and I'd express what I'm going through and about my grief and losses and this and that, and my hopes and so on as well. And aspirations indeed. And of course, we were advised in rehab to offload as much crap as possible. Don't be ashamed, don't be frightened what the other people in the group will think of you. When you have these group therapy sessions and so on and so forth. I saw people confess that they were abused as a child, and guess it was sexual abuse, and somehow they ended up sexually abusing their child or allowing their child to be sexually abused by someone else.
Yeah.
And I thought, my God, Lord have mercy. Yeah, and but these things inspired me to get clean, you know, to confess, and so I offloaded as much as I could when I could. And
how long did you stay in there?
That was for 3 months, and I must say that I appreciated the time in there. I was eating fresh food, cooked food every day. They had a chef come in every day to cook our meals for us, and there was a big bowls of fruits on the tables and all that. Could eat lots of, you know, fruits and you know that. Yeah, I mean, it was nice because I drifted away from that kind of lifestyle there. And it was nice to once again re-enter that world where, you know, I'm eating regularly, you know, not sort of once every 3 days or so, and things like that. Yeah, yeah, that was the kitchen side of it. But then the other side of it was there was a lot of boys at night. A lot of the brothers that congregate around the kettle room where you made tea and coffee, and they'd be there till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, but I didn't really partake in that, you know, and I was wondering, why did they do that? And then I realized that they were getting off on the caffeine, you know, in the tea and the coffee, especially I suppose the coffee more so, and, you know, and we weren't allowed to have an aftershave in there. I said, why not? It's because people drink that, because it's got alcohol content. Joking, you know, we're serious. People have done so. This is why we've stopped that sort of thing. And, you know, I saw women in there who were allowed to go to rehab so they could keep their children, and some of them chose to leave the rehab, which meant that they would never get custody of their child. So this is, and I'm learning about the force of this addiction thing, of this disease, you know, terrible and dreadful. You turn your back on your children. And I could relate to that because I didn't see my children during those periods as much as I wanted to. I chose not to really at the end of the day, and not say, oh yeah, well I was an addict, that's why, you know what I mean. I chose to carry on drinking and drugging. I couldn't even stop still for 8 hours to go and see my children. You know, yeah. And yeah, so there, you know, went to the AA meetings and so on and so forth, NA meetings, made acquaintances in those places, but still I had harbored thoughts of going back into criminality. You know, with all that's going on, I'm trying to get clean, but I'm still thinking crooked unclean in certain ways. Yeah, I'd made plans with a brother I knew, you know what I mean? You know, I'm making loads of money, you know what I'm saying? And I was going to join up and also make loads of money. You know, we're talking about multi-million-pound here. You know, I was expecting to, after rehab, I'll have a house. I'll buy a house cash within a year. You know, I mean, this is what I was looking at there as a reality because it was happening. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a pie in the sky theoretical thing. This operation was already in operation. And I have a place in there to fill. You know what I'm saying? And so I harbored that, you know, still, and at the same time, I remember, you know, going to these meetings and actually meeting up with one of the brothers who I'd agreed to, you know, continue a criminal life with, but I never confessed to them that I'm in rehab. You know, there was a shame going with that one. I would say, no, I'm not going to tell him I'm in rehab or I'm on my way to an NA meeting and so on. And And also that would sabotage my opportunity with those brothers. We can't have him on board. He's going NA meetings, he's in rehab, he's weak. You know what I'm saying? And we need strong people on our team, and so forth and so forth. So I just harbored that to myself until there was a day I was heading for the dining area, and my counselor was walking towards me, and he said, "Vander, you can achieve anything as long as you remain clean and sober." And I thought to myself, does he know that is he telepathic or something? Is he a mind reader? Because I still harbored thoughts of that rehab was a place where I could learn how to take coke like a gentleman, drink alcohol like a gentleman, have a sip and put the glass down, and that would last me hours, you know what I mean? And sip and have one little puff on the coke pipe, and and put it down for hours, you know what I mean? And probably have a couple pipes for the day, and a couple lines for the day, and one glass of champagne or, a little cognac chaser with it for the day, and that's it, what I mean? That's it. Yeah. And so I harbored that sort of thing as well in me, as well as returning to criminal activity, to get myself together, because after one of these people crying about in rehab, they've got their house. In this case, they've got houses. They've got their families and their children to go home to when they leave here. What is the matter with these people? I don't have that kind of comfort, behind me, like backup. I've got I don't have a job to go to neither. They've got jobs even to go. Some firms actually sent them to rehab to clean. You clean up and you got your job when you come. And so on and so forth. So these people are crying and I'm the one who ought to be crying around here. You know what I'm saying? It also occurred to me, why am I the only black man in here? There's no black woman in here either. I said, what's wrong with all these black people I know who are, in the crack houses and drinking alcoholically on a daily basis? Young and old, where are they? That mystified me as well. Of course. And like I said, I still harbored to going back to criminality and drinking and drugging like a gentleman. And it wasn't until one day I was having a one-to-one with my counselor, and he said, look, listen, your whole thinking has to change. The way you walk has to change. That swagger. I said, what do you mean swagger? He says, you walk me like, you call it like a gangster swagger. He says, that's got to go, and also we don't want you wearing any t-shirts that's glorifying drugs or alcohol on it, like even if it's just a Heineken bottle, say Heineken. Well, none of that. And he says, your whole thinking has got to change. He says, if your thinking doesn't change, you will go back to the same thing again, or it'll be even worse. This is what happens. And that's what I said, you're telling me that I'm going to give up crime completely. I've got to change all my friends, the people I knew. I can't go back, get socialized with these people. I can't go to all these haunts I used to go, hang around or, have a drink and a smoke and all that kind of thing there. These nightclubs where you could smoke ganja and people smoke crack in there. Whatever you want. Bring your own bottle in. You know what I'm saying? Although they sell alcohol in there. And I gotta stop going to those places, stop mixing with all these people. Male and female, change my thinking. I've got to do the opposite to what I was doing before, basically. Man, that's hard. That's So you call starting all over again. From the fast lane into the slow lane. That's how I saw it. And I, man, what am I gonna do? Suddenly I saw the vision of that house I was gonna buy within a year disappear. You know what I'm saying? And suddenly I saw that drinking and smoking and drugging like a gentleman, you know, out of the equation. This is I gotta stop this completely. This is not, I'm not here in rehab to learn to control my consumption of drugs and alcohol, but to abstain from it. Man, you know, but I said, well, okay, I'll do it. You know, I mean, I've suffered enough, you know, I've gone down low enough. I mean, I'm really and truly, the only place left for me to go was to the cemetery, really, or into some mental institution, you know what I mean, off of my head, you know, so I said, okay. I just said, yeah, just take it a day at a time. So, yeah, so by the time I was ready to leave rehab, 3 months didn't last very long, and yeah, but I remember while I was there was a young girl there, she came in, I don't know, 6 or 7 weeks after me. And after about 2 weeks, they allowed her to go and pick up her gyro check. I wasn't getting no benefits at all. I was complaining about it, you know, and the counselor said, don't worry about that. Just focus on your recovery. Don't worry about money. So I said, it's all right for you to talk, you know. I mean, you got money, you got a girlfriend, you got a home to go to. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? I think I'm the only one in here hasn't got a home to go to. You know what I mean? I think I'm the only one here ain't got no money. You know what I mean? And all the rest of it. And anyway, they allowed this girl after 2 weeks or so to go to the post office to get her gyro. And she disappeared. Went to Brixton and obviously succumbed to the crack smoking. She ended up in the West End, and a few weeks later, she was back in the rehab. Really tame and all that sort of thing. And I was fuming. I said, you wouldn't trust me to go to the rehab, or you trust that young girl there, and all that sort of thing. But as it was, as I could clearly see, she had a different counselor to me. So that counselor dealt with her in that way, whereas
different cases, or
you know. And I asked him, well, why didn't you trust me like the counselor trusts that girl? He said, because I don't trust the addict in you. I trust you, but I don't trust the addict in you, you know? And I said, I could see what he was talking about there, but I was still very angry about it all the same. Because, anyway, I completed the 3 months there, and of course we have a big, you know, get together to say our goodbyes in the discovery room where we discovered each other's secrets, you know, and so on and so forth. And there was a relaxation room as well where we'd go to meditation and all that sort of thing. And, you know, people said their goodbyes, everybody had their turn to make a speech, you know. I was given a book on recovery, you know, Alcoholics Anonymous, the big book, they call it like the Alcoholics Bible, and given a book on Narcotics Anonymous Bible as well, and I was given like a medal which says, to thine own self be true, you know, which is from the rehab itself, you know, and to thine own self be true. And then I was allocated to the next stage of my recovery, which is a house, where where there's people who spend time in the daytime just overseeing things at the house there. It's a lovely house, big beautiful house over Clapham North, over Clapham side anyway. Yes.
So what about that time now? So you've come out of rehab. What about that time did you actually stop from there?
Well, I hadn't taken anything for 3 months, you know, and I had a few smokes when I was in prison prior to coming out. But yeah. And like I said, even while I was in prison, actually, I met the guy Wolfie that murdered his friend for a 10-pound bone of crack. And but all that didn't deter me. It didn't deter me. And but yes, at the second stage of rehab, or whatever you want to call it, because that stage there, that house I went to in Clapham is a place where from there you get rehoused. And little bit of supervision to go with it, make sure you're eating properly and so on and so forth, and blah, blah, blah. And basically, and I was doing the meetings and so on, and then one day, I felt this urge to go and get my songs and my book that I started.
Where were they?
They were in Wembley, in the crack house in Wembley.
Okay.
It was a family home. It was a family home that had turned into a crack house, you know.
Yeah.
It was really well furnished, clean, and it became really dingy and, you know, and grimy and horrible.
Like stuck in time almost.
Yes, very depressing, and which the baby mother eventually left him there anyway. And so and of course I'd learned certain tools, like if you're going somewhere and you're not 100%, you know, early days of recovery, get someone to go with you.
Yeah.
If you know you're going to have to pass into a pub or something like that, I say, brother, can you come in that pub? I'll go and see someone in that pub. I don't want to relapse while I'm in there while they're drinking their gin and tonic. So, blah, blah, blah. So, but I didn't ask no one. I kept it, I could handle it, you know. I could handle it. I'm strong enough. I'll just go there and I'll stand outside and I'll say, Titus, Valentino was his name. Titus Valentino, man. The other people call him Prem, you know. He was a man who went out with royalty, as a matter of fact, in his time. And, and had his oil paintings to prove his gifts from royalty that was bestowed upon him. Anyway, so a lovely sunshiny day. I had an appointment with a meeting in Horse Ferry Road that evening as greeter. Because when you join the fellowships of AA and NA, the first thing you do if you're really serious about your recovery is you get a job doing service, whether it's as a greeter to greet people or making tea for others, giving out the biscuits to others and things like that, or or being like the literature secretary, so you've got all the pamphlets and books that you give to people or sell to people, depending what's free and what's not free. Service, or you become a secretary at some point. In my early days, you're not a secretary straight away. You got to have a certain amount of experience, just for the time behind you in AA and NA before you get to that secretarial stage. And so I had to go back to greet that evening. So I said, I'll just go there, get my songs back. So when I knocked on the door, I just opened the door. And lo and behold, he said, well, I'm going V, what's up? I said, I just come to get my songs and all that. He said, come in. So while I was in the room, I said, yes, that bag of songs and poetry and a book I started writing, I understand you put them upstairs. I come to collect them. He says, they're gone, they're not there. I said, what? I mean, who's gonna get rid of that? I thought, I was really pissed off.
So what did you say? Wait for the money?
I didn't even go into that detail. I just thought to myself, well, the house inhabited so many crackheads and alcoholics. They'd be rifling for all kinds of stuff,
so true.
And all the rest of it, and they could have easily just thrown it away. Disappointment, there's no money in that bag, there's no, everything you do, you probably got money in it. To finance your habits, what I mean? sometimes you can will yourself to see money on the street that you can pick up.
What are your songs or music?
They were my songs.
Yeah.
I wrote. I was always writing songs, and I'd also started a book, which isn't the same book that I am now author of today. It's probably a book that I'll probably go back to and start it all over again. But anyway, instead of leaving, I said, "You haven't got the stuff?" And okay, I'm off. But I stood, he said, "Hold on a minute," and he went into the back room. So I thought I'll wait for him to come back out the back room and say my goodbyes.
Yeah.
Right? But instead, from the back room, I knew what he was doing in there.
Yeah.
Smoking crack, drinking alcohol. And I knew exactly what he was calling me for. And without thinking, I just walked into that back room. He handed me the crack pipe, and I smoked the crack, and then I put it down, had a drink, and I thought, shit, what have I done? You know, I really felt, they call the thing shit, and I felt like